days, and all of you must have also noticed about how several people have indulged in sensationalization and misinformation campaign on various social media platforms. Now, the government has reacted to it. In fact, the Ministry of External Affairs has responded saying that the temptation of sensationalist social media hashtags and comments is rather not accurate and responsible and should be avoided. On the other hand, the Information and Technology Ministry, that is IT Ministry, has also asked Twitter, the social media platform, to ensure compliance to the laws of the land when it comes to certain situations like these. We're trying to understand in the next 25 odd minutes all aspects related to this particular issue, how things have developed and how these things can be brought under control and rather, ensured that are not repeated in the future as well. So for this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Abhishek Singh. He is the CEO of National E-Governance Division in the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. We're also joined by Advocate Khushbu Jain. She's a cyber law expert. And Jiten Jain is also joining us, data and cyber expert, quite active on various social media platforms himself as well. Welcome all of you to Rajya Sabha Television. Let me begin with you, Jiten, specifically. Let's put the entire issue in perspective here and let's try and understand what is wrong and where it is wrong.
I think, look, in last 2-3 weeks, a lot of misinformation and disinformation has been circulating on various social media platforms. And many times we have seen several posts and videos trying to instigate violence and violent protests. Now, after what happened on 26th January, where our national flag was insulted, a lot of violence was carried out on the streets of National Capital Territory in Delhi. Government has been monitoring social media, and I think they noticed a hashtag which was related to Prime Minister, and we suggested that Prime Minister has been planning a genocide of farmers who have been protesting. Now, we must all appreciate that for the last 3 months, farmers have been absolutely peaceful. They have an constitutional right for peaceful protest, which we all support. We may agree and disagree with their demands, but we all support their right to protest. And they were completely peaceful till what happened on 26th January. Now, both farmers and government are of the opinion that certain mischievous elements linked to Khalistan and foreign actors, especially intelligence agencies operating across border, have been trying to vitiate atmosphere and has been trying to create deep religious divides in India and incite violence. Now, in that context, when this hashtag, which was being trended from foreign accounts in India, was noticed, government, using its emergency power, had written to the Twitter to block 211, I think, handles and specific posts to be blocked under the section 69A, which I think for a couple of days Twitter did not comply with or refused to carry out the action. Just before the meeting of committee which regularizes such emergency blocking was taking place, Twitter at the last moment, after 48 hours, I think they decided to block all the accounts. And after the meeting, it is in the public domain, and what we are seeing in the media reports, they had sent another communication to the government of India citing inability to carry out the blocking orders, and then giving a great lecture on free speech and democracy and government powers in India, constitutional rights, and the powers of government and the definition of public order. Okay. In a way, confirming to the government that they will not comply with the lawful order of the government. Now, here is the case. Government has written to them again that if they do not comply with the government order, which they have no choice, so they cannot even modify or subtract or add anything. If they do not comply with the lawful order of the government under Section 69A, then under Section 69A, these companies can be booked. I think government has no other option to carry out the legal action, and they can be imprisoned up to 7 years. Now, this is where I think the difference is. Several people are saying that this is a censoring of political speech, or the government is trying to curb free speech and right to protest. But I think there is a larger issue in question over here. Can big tech companies like Twitter, Facebook, or other social media platforms refuse to carry out the orders of a government of a sovereign territory? Can they act beyond the governments? I mean, in my opinion, if Twitter had any problem with the order, they could have gone to court, they could have come to government. But under the law, there is absolutely no scope for Twitter to refuse to comply with this order. Okay. And for government, only two choices are available. I think either government should take action against the designated officer if he refuses to file an FIR, or designated officer has to file an FIR against Twitter if the intermediary, which is Twitter, refused to comply with the government's order of the day.
Okay, okay. Let me also bring in Mr. Abhishek Singh here. Mr. Singh, in your views, not only this aspect which Jiten is bringing about the logic behind what exactly the social media platform companies might be trying to do here, and whether or not they have this authority, because they will have to ultimately obey the rule of the land, the law of the land, and comply with that as well. But also the efforts which are being made on these social media platforms to vitiate the atmosphere, to sensationalize, to push misinformation or disinformation campaigns. This is something which needs to be dealt with.
See, ultimately, what Jiten has said. Ultimately, what do we come to around it? Ultimately, what is the most important aspect in this whole aspect is that the rule of law has to be supreme. The 69A is part of the IT Act, and 69A has been it has gone through the scrutiny of the Supreme Court also in the Shreya Singhal case, wherein some provisions of the IT Act were struck down, but 69A was retained. And the purpose for retaining 69A on the law books is to ensure that everybody has a freedom of speech, but if anybody's freedom of speech results in violation of anybody else's right, then your right stops where my right begins. That's the cardinal principle of law. And another principle of law that is supreme in a democratic and a country like India is the rule of law has to be supreme. So once a law is there, and once under the law the procedure is defined, wherein a notice is issued with regard to violation of certain provisions of the Act, then as a law-abiding individual or a company, in this case a multinational company, is supposed to abide by the letter and the spirit of the law. If it has any grievance against the order, there is a process, judicial process defined, wherein they can represent why this is not applicable to it. But without taking recourse to the process which is defined, taking a moral high ground, saying that they are the ultimate arbiters of what is right and what is free of speech, this is usurping state authority, this is usurping judicial authority, and this is something which is not acceptable in any country. So what is ultimately the legal recourse will be taken, and I am hopeful that the company like Twitter, which has signed on when they are operating their operations in India, when they sign on the legal provisions of the country, then they have to abide by it. There's no choice to that.
Okay, indeed, there is no other way around there when you're talking about complying with the law of the land. Let's also bring in Advocate Khushbu Jain here for a bit of a more clarity. Khushbu, in terms of, if you could put in perspective and also explain to us the kind of laws which are applicable in this particular scenario in situations like these, their extent as well as limitations, if any.
So I think law has very well been covered by Jiten ji and Abhishek ji also here, that 69A of IT Act does talk about punishments in this regard. At the same time, in scenarios like this, when there is there's a harm to the state, or when it's a responsibility. One has to understand that a state cannot abandon its responsibility to protect its citizens. And in a situation like this, there's a fight between free speech, your freedom of expression and speech. But then, as rightly said by Abhishek ji, that it's not an absolute right. When somebody else's right is curtailed or it harms nation, it becomes a difficulty. Now, what exactly are the punishments that can be imposed? Yes, 69A, there is in power. If they don't comply with it, there's a punishment. At the same time, in a situation like that, I would say that why not book them under Section 34 also comply IPC into it, that that safe harbor procedure or safe harbor concept that was there, that was just for passive intermediaries that had no involvement, or that safe harbor doesn't impose, whereas these intermediaries are concerned where they involve or where they intercept or where they have monitoring, they have option to change. There have been instances where Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of them have deleted content, have looked into it, have done whatever they want to do. So when you have such power, when you have control over the content, you practically cannot be under the category of an intermediary who are being given safe harbor. So why not book them also under the same category as as the culprits, or as anybody who has been on those platforms? I would just cite one of the judgments of Delhi High Court. Christian Saas versus Nakul Bajaj and others, where court was very well specific about, they demarcated the categories as to who will be intermediaries who have more functions to perform cannot be termed as a passive intermediary. They would be an active intermediary, and they would not be given safe harbor. They have given detailed, involvement as to arranging executive exchange of products, or involvement in changing content, or regulating, or providing quality assurance, reviewing the product. So, more your involvement as a platform, less you being part of you are intermediary who are being given safe harbor.
Okay. Jiten, do you agree with what Khushbu is pointing out there? And ultimately, the point here is that the buck stops with the platform, with the social media platform, with the company operating it.
No, I don't think the buck stops with them, and buck should not stop with them. It is the buck should stop with the government of the day and the constitutional law of that land. So that is the whole problem, that they have assumed. And see, one thing you have to understand: in last 2 years, we have faced in this country that foreign powers, especially ISPR of Pakistan, an agency which has got 600 crore rupees of funding just to carry out influence and disinformation operations, has been trying to radicalize youth in Kashmir, has been trying to create religious divides in India. You saw during Delhi rise, 20,000 Pakistani accounts were peddling fake news, fake violent videos of murders and stuff in Delhi to incite violence. You have seen during anti-CAA protests, thousands and thousands of Khalistani and Pakistani accounts being active. So it is a part of larger influence operations where you are trying to paint a image of India. This hashtag Indian Muslims in danger. I mean, 80% content came from Pakistan. Can you imagine? And this is an idea to tarnish the global image of India, create religious trouble in India, and at times maybe to influence elections in future.
That's exactly what I'm trying to convey here, Jiten. When I said buck stops with the social media companies, is because they're responsible. They need to take responsibility. They need to adhere to the law of the land.
No. They want to adhere to the law of bigger lands like US. Here they are giving us a lecture that just because somebody has put out 3 tweets inciting violence, why do you suspend the whole account? Why not take down the 3 tweets itself? Now, Twitter must understand that 69A law is not for post-action or criminal liability. It is a law of which is preemptive in nature. I mean, law is defined in such a way that if government feels that it can disrupt public order, even then they can take action. So if Twitter feels that just 3 tweets of US president could have incited so much of violence that they had to suspend the account of a sitting US president, then if 3 accounts government is notifying of an ordinary guy, why can't they suspend the whole account? So this whole business of, they wanted to ban this hashtag, hang Mike Pence. They wanted to ban this hashtag because they thought it was violative of their policy and violent in nature. But if the same Twitter feels that PM Modi planning farmer genocide is not violative of their policies, free speech, I'm sorry. I think they are trying to define a different standard of speech for US and a different standard of business policies in India. Okay. That is the whole problem. Third, I think we must all understand. Look at the tweets of Greta Thunberg yesterday. The toolkit she shared, the contributors are the people sitting in Canada. The same people who are contributing the toolkit have been openly campaigning for Khalistan and division of India. Now, if one person has to draw a simple comparison of the people who have been collecting and